Okay, so you know how everyone in America right now is obsessed with tariffs, like China bet, trade war. Everybody is mad at everybody. I have to say, that's really Chinese bad. Because we should not have to tax tariffs if China is still governing the whole world. On Chinese social media, something that involves a 600-year-old dynasty, a theory that Ming China discovered and ruled the whole world. And I promise this is real. A steam engine that somehow predates the Industrial Revolution by 300 years. Привет, товарищ, and Bruce here. And in this video, we are going to explore a story about fans. Very, very exotic fans of a dynasty. You've heard of Zheng He, right? A Chinese explorer at 1400s sailed around with a big fleet. That part is real. He was genuinely impressive. But on Chinese social media, this gets upgraded. Posts claim that Zheng He didn't just sail to Africa. He sailed to Australia and to the Americas. There are relief carvings on Uluru, the giant rock in Australia, that praise the achievements of Ming Dynasty, and even with the figures of native Australian officials authorized by the dynasty. And the Ming Dynasty established astronomical observatories in the Americas. That's why descriptions of solar eclipses could only have been observed from the Americas were documented in Ming Dynasty historical record. All of it, according to these fans, is proof that Ming Dynasty of China had ruled the world. But actually, the rocks are just rocks with razor faces, and the solar eclipse records is just because Chinese like to make up false solar eclipse records. According to statistics, the false rate of all recorded solar eclipses is around 70%. And why did Chinese fake that? Obviously, there was no genius to record them. And it's also very clear to falsify it. You just need to look up, right? Well, briefly, many imperial ceremonies will be held as predicted day of solar eclipse, which makes predicting the solar eclipse a regular job. And when the historical records are combined from these materials, the predicted records were usually distinguished for fact. That's it. And besides Australia and America, Europe is also sort of region of Ming Dynasty. Opinion 1 is, have you ever heard of Loulan? Not this one. Loulan is a small Asian nation or city found in the desert in northwest China, and it is also used as a symbol for western areas of China. The question is stated in historical records that western areas were 16,000 miles away from Middle China then, which is much, much further than the distance between western and middle part of China. So, where is a place that's just so far from China? Well, you just get to the right answer: Europe. Thus, some people online went a different direction. Actually, in Middle Chinese, Lou sounds similar to fix, and Lan may be transliterated from land, which means Loulan is probably a group of 6 lands: Poland, Netherlands, Finland, Scotland, England, and Ireland. And by combining countries of different directions, is used as a term referring to the whole Europe. And the action of Zheng He, a king of Dynasty, attacking Loulan, is actually conquering the Europe. But this opinion is very doubtful because besides Ming fans, Han fans are also a crazy group in China. And in their view, Loulan had already been destroyed by Han Dynasty. So maybe they should solve the debate between them. Opinion 2. During Ming treasure voyages, China already had steam-powered ships. And not just that, they had a fully modernized military, single rifles, formations, basically a 15th century US Marine Corps. With what Ming Dynasty could maintain is governance over the earth. I have to say the naval fleet is the largest one world had everything in 1400s. Think Columbus, but with a fleet 10 times bigger. People believe that because what Ming Dynasty had done is totally crazy. The largest ships in treasure ships fleet were recorded as approximately 137 meters, which is 450 feet long. And the fleet traveled an estimated total of over 50,000 kilometers for 7 voyages, reaching as far as the east coast of Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. If not for the steam-powered engines, how could people of that time achieve all of this by wooden ships? It's totally beyond people's imagination. But actually, yes. Ming's fleet had only sail-powered ships with fire lances, basically a bamboo tube with gunpowder. That's how it worked. People always assume that Asian people are far from the science. But just like what Liu Cixin has mentioned in his work Three-Body Problem, the back crossbow of Northern Song Dynasty had a range of 1,500 meters, roughly the same as a 20th century sniper rifle. Without technology from 21st century, people can still make difference. Also, it's kind of pathetic of me to see that many people nowadays reconstruct the full stream of Ming Dynasty, despite of what a major miracle people then had achieved under these simple conditions. Okay, sorry, what I have talked about is just some simple conspiracies. But what if I told you that there are more than 5 million people in China believe this stuff? This is way more than just a conspiracy or trend. Actually, the first time I heard these opinions I introduced before in this video, was not from some posts nor some videos, but a colleague in my real life, a middle-aged lady. The way she catechized and spreaded how gorgeous and great Ming Dynasty was. It's just like a new religion. So, why does it get so much interesting? It's rather complicated, but simply, it could be viewed as a mix of restoration narrative and nationalism. Chinese nationalism is not like what happened in World War II, but is more like Chinese is the most civilized nation, and under that assumption, Chinese deserve everything they need. This figure is kind of like the mistranslated Confucius words. If you wait by the river long enough, the bodies of your enemies will float by. 逝者如斯夫，不舍昼夜. And one aspect of this nationalism is a mindset in Chinese social media called 赢学 or Winnism, the study of winning. If you have no clue, it's basically the spirit of newly hated White House propaganda. 365 wins in 365 days. Whatever you do, you are winning. What's more, Chinese want to win all the time, not just present, but also the future and past. China gets superb city construction, robots, and AI right now, right? Of course, China can outdo other countries in all of this, because China is always winning. But if they look back, what they see is just a humiliated colonized history. So that's where Winnism is needed. If we lost in Qing Dynasty, that's okay, because we could win back in Ming Dynasty. And if you don't know, the governor of Ming Dynasty is Han Chinese, but the governor of Qing Dynasty is Manchu people. And how did Han Chinese view the time when being ruled by Manchu people? Well, different people may give different answers, but for some of them, it's basically the same. How Native Americans think of those immigrated white people from Europe. Manchu broke the great history process of Ming Dynasty. Manchu tried to extinguish Han Chinese, and Manchu sold the country of China to Western colonizers for their own benefits. And Manchu people is still govern China in secret. And extremists is, if Han Chinese even blame everything bad on Manchu people. Slanted eyes stereotype, that's how Manchu people look like. Nothing to do with Han Chinese. Qing Chong. Qing is Qing Dynasty, and Chong is bug. Just another insult to Manchu people. Nothing to do with Han Chinese. It reminds me of Tiger Talisman from Jackie Chan Adventures, which could split people into two sides. For now, Han Chinese is like the young side, and no doubt Manchu people is like the inside. However, history is never that simple and easy, or referring to the historical nihilism simply. And why so eager to find someone to blame for, even when no one is asking? Han Chinese are not always hating Manchu people. The conscience of nation could be easily shaped by its government. Since I'm based in China, for my personal safety, I will not detail the Chinese-centered promotion movement. There are many handles for the government to unite the whole country and nation, and nationalism is one that's good as thought, but could easily lose control. Something like that happened a lot in many countries' modern history. Nowadays, China is sensing that mingle on social media and trying to hold it back. But it's much easier to light a fire than putting it out. You know, that thing where you tell a kid you are the most special kid in the world every single day. And then you will only be surprised and confused when they throw a tantrum at grocery store because someone else got the bigger cookie. That's the Ming fan club. 600 years later, still demanding the bigger cookie. Will the zeal stop, or will the group keep trolling online? Let's just wait and see what will the Ming Dynasty fan club turn into. Okay, that's the serious part, and for the last part, let's share the last interesting thing about this group. They like to address things as 道明之作, Ming Elegy, which means it mourns Ming Dynasty, sometimes in an implicated way, even without the creators themselves realizing that. The Ming Elegy genre got so big that fans started to sing it everywhere, in Hollywood movies, in video games, in anime. At some point, everything becomes a Ming Elegy if you look hard enough. For example, Zootopia is a Ming Elegy. The main character of this animation is called Zheng He, and the famous king of Ming Dynasty is called Zheng He. Zheng He went to Zootopia from Uluru town, burning borough. Zheng He relocated the capital to a bigger city, Beijing, from a smaller city, Nanjing. The chief assistant mayor, Dong, behaves like a good lady, but turns predators savage in secret. Officials of Ming Dynasty seem loyal, but betray the empire and let men shoot people in China. So, Zootopia is definitely a Ming Elegy, and so is Beatles. You can easily tell from the first line of the famous work, Hey Jude. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Sing a sad song and make it better. Remember